We're going to see an unconventional swing that works pretty good. First off, she's very neutral. You'll see on the backswing that she's going to take her palms straight back, and right there the club, except for the fact that it's a little low, is in a good position to block our view of the hands. Pretty nice takeaway. Then she's going to get up to here on plane, and if we were to draw the plane line in, you can see that she's right on that plane. For most of us, that'd feel a little bit flat. And then she's not going to turn a lot with her lower body. She's just going to drive the head back to the ball where it belongs, swing through it. Great action there. Look at that. Boom. Great release, great forearm action onto a finish that is, again, on that swing plane. So while the swing is unconventional in the fact she lifts up, she gets right back down to plane again. Her head goes straight down, right on through the shot. Her head doesn't necessarily move closer to the ball. It just gets back down closer to the ground. This is a good swing, and I'd have her play that swing. We can make a few minor adjustments, but the key fundamentals are there, especially the impact point. If I draw a line down through this golfer's head, you can see that his head is past the golf ball, even though in his stance it looks like it to be a little forward. That's because he's really tilting a little bit to the right. If we draw a line from this shoulder down and then this shoulder down, you can see that he's tilting a little bit more towards the right, or in his case the left, than he needs to be. Let's watch the takeaway. What we're going to see is a collapse on the takeaway. Oh, excuse me, hay fever time. Okay, it goes back. Notice everything is folding up. The left arm, left knee, right knee, everything is collapsing. And what's going to happen now is he can't be in a strong position. His right knee is outside of his right foot, so he can't push off that. The left foot is raised up on the air, so he hasn't created any coil. The hips have turned as much as the shoulders, so there's no coil. The hips should only rotate half as much or less than the shoulders rotate. Then he's going to come on down through. Legs are going to come apart, and you can see the head of the club is trying to pass the hand of the club. That's because the right hand is slowing down. And there he goes. He's flipping under the club. He's going to top the ball, raises the club up off the ground. What we need to find is when his arm is in that position there, first off, we'd like it to be straight. So there'd be a straight line running from that shoulder through the golf ball through his right knee. That's how much the right knee has to move. Then on through to the finish. Here we see a good setup of the driver. The hands could be a little closer to the thighs, but I'm not so certain how much that'll help him. What he's got is a great setup. Let's watch the takeaway. Club's going down the line nicely, making a good rotation. Maybe letting his left arm get a little far away from his chest, but look at that. The club head is hiding the hands, the ideal position that we look for. He's going to continue rotating, get his shoulder under his chin. Very good position right there. Right elbow's down. The shoulders have turned considerably more than the rest of him. Almost a parallel. He could stand to flatten the club out a little bit more so that it was a little bit more on that line there, so he got a little bit more hinge in his wrists. But we're not going to quabble. This is a pretty good move right here. Then he'll drop the club back down under the line. See that? How he's dropping the club head down behind him, trying to get it parallel to the trail arm. It's not quite parallel to trail arm, but at least it's not parallel to the lead arm. And then he's going to rotate right on through. What he doesn't do, though, is he doesn't go back over. He stays underneath the club a little bit there. And he doesn't get his weight forward. You can see he's kind of falling back on this side right here. So we can get him to get onto the front side a little earlier, right on through the shot. He'll finish better, and he'll have a lot more power. He lost a little balance because he didn't quite get to the front side. Nice swing. Here we see a really good setup, but we're going to see a problem early in the takeaway where the left hand is going to move out away from her body, away from her thigh, and actually get on the outside of the club, right about there. You can see the left hand starts to get outside the swing, and the club is way back behind her. Where she is right now, the club, head, and hand should be in that little circle right there. Notice the club is way out of that circle. So we're going to work real hard on getting her to not get her hand outside the swing plane. That throws the club too far offline, and then when she comes to the top of her backswing, she's got a great position there, but her arms are way high, and she's blocking our view of her left ear. That club head, the club shaft should be much lower than that. Her arm should be more parallel with her shoulder plane, so down a little bit. If we went back to the setup position, what we'd like to see if we drew that club line right up here. Whoops, I don't know how that happened. Let's undo that. Let's draw that right up there again. What we want to see is that right elbow be on that line at the top of the backswing. You can see she's way above it, even though I moved a little bit. That's going to cause an over-the-top swing and a little pull slice. A very athletic young woman, but we got to get her to stay on plane just a little better. Okay, we have a new golfer here, and common among new golfers is a tendency just to lift the club up off the ground and then slam it back into the ground with little or no body rotation. Remember, the number 2 skill set is to be able to rotate the body to power the club. And what we're going to see here is from a really good setup, she's just going to lift the club up off the ground, straight up. The shoulders don't turn very much. She's going to bend both arms. She's actually got the club on plane, but it won't matter because she's just going to slam it down into the ground. See how it's coming way outside the line, and she's going to slam it down and miss the ball entirely, because you can see right there she's trying to lift it. You can even see the lift kind of a tendency, lift. And what we want her to do is swing the club with long, straight, soft arms. Very difficult to do when you're first beginning, isn't it? Okay, this is what we call an under golfer. The left arm goes under the right arm, the right elbow comes up. That works pretty good for wedges, but it's pretty difficult to swing that way with that right elbow coming up and the left hand going down underneath. He's got himself on a good plane here, and one of the things he does really nicely, if I were to draw in what we're going to call a shoulder plane, his shoulder's pretty close on that plane. His club is parallel to it. Then when he starts down, he's even going to drop the club lower than that, the club head especially. Watch out how he's dropping it underneath, trying to get it parallel to that trail arm. Great job. Look at that. Dead parallel to the trail arm. And more importantly, if you look closely, the face of the club is also parallel to the lead forearm. That's a great position to be in. He's turning into the shot. Now he quits turning his body. That's where he gets himself into a little trouble and maybe misses the shot. But if we could just get him to rotate those hips so that I can see both back pockets at impact, not just barely one, we're going to see a great golf move here. Okay, we can see this golfer's bent over too much. She should be between 30 and 40 degrees, and she's about 50 degrees. That's way too far. It's going to put her jammed up a little bit. It's also why she's choking down so far on the golf club. Let's go ahead and watch the swing, see if she's able to stay on that spine angle. And my guess is she's going to lift because her body's going to tell her I'm bent over too much. So let's see what happens on the takeaway. Up she comes. Higher and higher and higher. Not bad position right there. Let's get everything out of the way. Now we can see that her arms are bent here, especially the front arm is bent. Not too bad. Let's keep that arm a little longer. Let's see her turn back down to the ball. She's going outside the line a little bit. The club is almost parallel to the trail arm. She's working on that pretty good. Right on through. But because she had lifted up earlier, she's going to have a tough time making contact. You can see right there, the ball is just off the toe of the club because she's pulled away by standing up. And she's going to knock it off the toe and away it goes. So we've got to get her standing a little taller and a little closer to the ball.